Welcome, everybody, to Your World, your soul podcast for inner peace. My name is Kristina. I am your host for today, and I'm so glad that you're back to the podcast show or that you are listening here into the episode for the first time. And today we are speaking about one of my most favorite topics that literally changed my life, and it is the power of clearing our life. I will share with you 5 steps how to declutter your life. And at first, we will look at your physical home and how to live a more minimalistic life. Then we will dive into your electronic devices, and believe me, this is more important, especially today, than you think. The third step will be that we will have a look into your relationships. And by relationships, I'm not speaking only about your social relationships, right? It's the relationship you have to food. It's the relationship you have to music. It's the relationship you have to nature, to yourself. And about the other relationships, let yourself be surprised at. Then we will have a look into the most important topic, how we can declutter our mind and clear our mind. And the fifth step, I will guide you through simple practices that you can do from today. And I will share with you where from all of these topics, how to start, and how I was managing to really declutter my life and how it really positively impacted me, the connection to myself, how I'm really feeling in my life, how it made me, just really experience this life and go through the life way more organized. I'm anyway already organized because I'm a Capricorn. However, so I will really share with you today what you can do from the moment on when you will finish the episode. So I'm very excited that you're here. So take a deep breath in through the nose. And with the exhalation, arrive more in your body. Make yourself comfortable and enjoy the episode. So for those of you who are new to the podcast show and to this episode, in the moment I am talking with my audience and with the listeners about the yamas and niyamas of the yogic traditions. So the yamas and niyamas are 10 ways that are guiding the individual soul to source. It's a guideline how you can, by mastering each of those paths, how you can really feel better in yourself and live a more connected life. So we were talking about the yamas, and now we are starting to talk about the niyamas, and we are starting today with the first niyama, right? So we are today in the 6th episode, we talked already about the 5 yamas, and the 5 yamas, they are representing the connection you have to yourself and the outer world. And the niyamas, they are really more about the connection that you build to yourself, that you build within. However, of course, we are still building a connection to the way, with the people around us. And yes, Saucha is and means in Sanskrit purification and clarity. And this is why today we will speak about the 5 steps, how you can really clear your life. So we want to start with your physical home. And I would really love to know, so maybe you would love to share it with me in the comments, if you are a person that is a little bit messy, or if you feel you are already very minimalistic, and how you found your way out of maybe being a bit more messy to a more minimalistic life. And I feel that I'm really observing in the moment a global movement of really people realizing that we actually don't need that much. And do we really need all the things that we are having at home, right? How often do we use them? And how are we taking care about them? And in the last episode, we spoke about detachment. And when you listen and when you will go back to the episodes, and also when we will dive into the next niyamas, you will really get the sense of understanding how all of those 10 paths are very connected to each other, right? So, of course, when we detach ourselves from things, we are already purifying our life, right? So, my invitation is really to go through your home, right? And you can, if you feel that you're very messy, right, just start with one room. Choose one room and go really through the room, and then just look at your belongings and think why am I actually keeping that? Do I really need that? And we don't have to throw things out of our home, right? We can donate things. We can even sell things because believe me, there are so many people outside that are looking maybe exactly for what you have, right? I'm sure you know the moment when you randomly are with your friends and then you kind of want to get rid of something and your friend is like, oh my God, this is so cool. I would love to have that, right? So you can also just speak with your friends, right? If you do an exchange or if you just, just inform them what you want to give away. And this is like one step how you can start to, to clear your physical home. And when we have from the yogic tradition, we need to understand that the more noise is in the outside, the more noise will be on our inside. So we really start to clear the outside space, right? We need to start to clear what do we have at home, right? Why do we have maybe also so many things? Because if you respect yourself, right, and if you are treating yourself good, then it is actually your obligation to have a organized and a clean home. If you want to have a spiritual practice or if you have your practice, right, then in yoga we say that it's also very important that you do the practice in a clean environment, in a minimalistic environment, and that the best way would be that you have at home your altar, right, or a space where you always go to and where you have your practice. And later I will speak also with you about how to really clear your body, because that's also very important. And we have a lot of techniques for that. But at first, we want to start, and this is also for a lot of people the easiest way to start by clearing their home. And you all know the feeling how good it is if we have a clean home, if we have an organized home. So go in your mind through your home or take something out for writing things down, right? Maybe you also want to do this like with your family, with your partner, or just on your own. And then really go step by step through the things, right? Look at your wardrobe, right? The best thing is to start actually with the wardrobe, right? Put all your clothes out, put all your clothes onto the sofa, onto the bed, and then go literally every piece step by step through. And if there are pieces that are actually, for example, already with some holes, then decide, do you want to repair them? And if you don't want to repair them and to look after them, it's even better on an energetical way to get rid of them. So if something in your home breaks, for example, right, there is often a reason for it. It very often means there was an energetic release, or that maybe that piece shouldn't be in your home. So I would be very careful with things that are broken to still keep them. And I would anyway really not use things, for example, things in your kitchen, right? The next step is, after going through your wardrobe, going through your kitchen, looking through the stuff, really organizing your kitchen space, really throwing also out all the herbs, all the things that are old that you don't longer use. There can anyway, be already like some insects or molds. We don't know, right? So the best thing is even not to keep too much stuff in the kitchen. So go through your kitchen. And if you go through your cluttery, then really check, are there some plates that are, for example, a bit broken? And if they are and you can't repair them, just let them go. So first step are your clothes. Then you want to go through your kitchen, and then you want to go through your books, right? Really go through your books, take every book, and then, you want to really shake out the book. You want to put all the dust away, and then you want to organize your books. The next part would be, if you have children, to go through your children's room and to do the same, right? Do they need all their clothes? Which toys they are still using? And then also being very aware, do they really need more toys? Or with what do they really like to play, right? And it's not about the same for children, right? You should be an example for your children. They have nothing about giving them so many new things, right? Like when parents buy actually a lot of stuff for the children, it also very often means that they parents don't have a connection to themselves, and that they also don't spend like enough physical and engaging and social time with the children. So this is why they're buying them so much stuff. But by that, like the children will actually not benefit from the situation. So after going through your children's room or looking after your pet's area, you just go through every room in general, right? And look at the furniture, look at the decoration stuff, look at all the items, and also again, look what is broken, what need to be repaired, and what can be thrown out, and what do you maybe want to donate or what you maybe want to sell. And as a reminder, I have a whole series, which was like a series which came out last Christmas, where I have a whole episode just about how to clear your home. So if you're more interested in that, just go back to this episode. And when you're then finished of decluttering your home, going through every room, and really, I really invite you start with your clothes and then go step by step through the other steps I shared with you. And if your home is clear, then of course you want to clear the windows. You want to, after you tidy it up, you want to clean the floor. You want to clean the furniture. You want to really look after the things, right? Really prioritizing what needs to be repaired. And when your space is then clear, you, of course, can purify the space even more by either using natural essential oils, by lightening a nice natural candle, for example, from soya wax or from bee wax, or using specific herbs and some incense to really bring a nice smell into your home and also on an energetic level to clear the space in all dimensions. And just by thinking about that, right? Just by even speaking about that, if our physical space around us is home, we can really relax. We can really create a space in our home where our energy lives in. And a big part to that, where we will speak later about, is, for example, having music played in your home. Because if you don't set the right tone in your home and in your walls, if you don't decide which energy should be in your home, other energies will come in and you will attract them because you didn't set the tone where you said, like, this is the frequency that is inside. So it needs to be very strong that you protect your space and that no other negative energy is coming into your space. Second part, after you cleared your home, I am really inviting you to look at all your electronic devices. And to be honest, this was for me one of the most challenging parts. I'm also a little bit obsessed about it because, like, I have two phones. I have my private phone, I have my business phone, and I have one MacBook. All right. And I have since years, and then I actually have also like my old laptops, and like my old Mac was actually getting broken. Until yet, it's still in Germany in my parents' house because like it got broken, and I once started to actually write my book, and the scripture is on that Mac. However, I procrastinated since now, I don't know, 5 years to bring that MacBook to the reparation and to try to, to get to that scripture. It's actually the only thing that I really want to get from that MacBook. However, I have really since years always the goal to delete pictures I don't need, to really go through my apps, to really go through notes that are old that I don't need. And I also had always, also when you are a creator, then you have so much content on all your devices. And I really had like so many struggles with my storage. Also, so many things kind of didn't work just for me with the clouds. I think, like, I don't know what it was. Maybe I didn't figure it out or whatever. Maybe I manifested like a bad reality here for me, whatever. Always when I was, for example, flying to another city or country, or when I had like a long driving to somewhere, I always said like, okay, I'm deleting phones, I'm doing that. But while meanwhile you are doing that, you're collecting more data, right? And I tell you guys, so just for you to know, when you really want to start this Saucha journey, because you think like, of course, oh my God, clearing, it's so easy. But like, there is a reason that like yogis lived in an ashram where they have nothing, because believe me, living a normal or a Western life we have so much stuff you don't know, and you don't know how it influences us. So I mean that very seriously, that all the stuff you have on your phone, it is energetically in your life. The pictures of your ex, like on your phone, they are energetically in your life, which doesn't mean you need to delete them, because we also spoke about letting go, right? Like we cannot let go anything completely in our life because it will always be there, right? Some people are also obsessed by like deleting things from their past, because they don't want to look at and accept a part that they were, or accepting which people you loved or didn't love, right? So by deleting it, you don't cut it out fully, but like you need to find the right relationship with, right? Like what do you want to have on your phone, or do you want to put some things into the storage, etc., right? So I just want to tell you that it can influence you. And now coming back to my story, that it took me, I think now, I don't know, 5 years to be now, since a few months, really in a space where I said, oh my gosh, I literally decluttered everything. I'm now up to date. I have, like, I organized everything. Like, it took me so long. And I tell you, I put it always a little bit time in my, in my calendar to do it, right? And it's not that I don't have anything else to do, right? You need to put it in, even it's like 10-minute decluttering, 10-minute decluttering. So it took me 5 years to declutter my stuff. And I don't want to demotivate you, because, for example, like, yes, my boyfriend, like, he doesn't care, I think, like, so much about his on, like, whatever, like, if he has like double pictures on his phone or something. Like, for me, I was getting crazy when I had like screenshots from things when I was reading something. Like, I really decluttered my whole phone, and I cannot tell you how freeing it feels. Especially for me, also, like, as a creator, I'm just like, it's now so more easy. It makes so much more fun to create new things, like having, like, with all the programs I'm working with, the apps, like really having a structure. Of course, I'm sure it's still not perfect, but like it's a very good foundation. And this is really my invitation to you. Look at your electronic devices and take it on as a journey, and really see it like as a purification. If you feel, even for doing a complete reset, deleting everything, starting completely new, it can sometimes feel really good, and it can really impact you, and you will literally feel so much lighter. So, the next part we want to look on, the third part, are your relationships. And we want to look at your relationship you have to food. In yoga means Saucha, purity. So, of course, we are at first decluttering our home, decluttering the environment, decluttering the devices. And now you want to look at, what do you consume in the outside, and what do you put into your beautiful physical vessel? And the first thing is our food. You are what you eat. So I'm really inviting you to look at, what do you eat? Why do you eat what you eat? And can you develop a bit more conscious relationship with your food habits? And a very great way, actually, to start, if you feel that you are in a pattern and it's hard for you to break out, is to do a fast. It can be a 24-hour fast, a 40-hour fast, or a 72-hour fast. And it can also be like water fasting, dry fasting, juice fasting. And really having a detox, preparing yourself for the fast. You should, for example, already reduce caffeine, right? Reducing sugar, reducing the amount you eat, that your system will not crash fully when you start the fast. Going already, for example, for drinking only water. And this is how we can really change the nutrition, right? And if your nutrition is, for example, very horrible, like saying you eat a lot of processed food, you eat a lot of sugar, then you could start by example saying, okay, I will not longer drink soft drinks. I'm starting really to go back to water, right? And then when you are on water, you can say, okay, I'm not longer having any processed sweets, right? So if you have something sweet, then it's maybe even a homemade banana bread or a cake, but like not no processed things like unhealthy chips or like Haribos or stuff like that, right? And then from there, you can take it to really saying, okay, I'm cooking more at home, I'm making my food fresh. And I would really recommend, if people ask me, whatever, what is the best way to eat, vegan, vegetarian, keto diet, right? I tried it all. I would just say eat fresh stuff that is organic and that is not processed, and then that's the best way to eat. So look at your relationship with your food, and you could also start to journal about the relationship with your food. And by that, and by really also doing, for example, a fast, this would be really be a yogic practice to purify your physical vessel. The next step is, of course, the consumption you have on your phone. So we spoke about the electronic devices. The next step would be now to look at your behavior with your phone, looking at the input of social media. And we also spoke already recently in the previous episodes about it, right? How much time do you spend on your phone? And there are these apps, there are these settings on your phone that you can, get like a reminder when you spend it, for example, 30 minutes in an app, right? And I would always recommend you, if you're using social media, if you're using it also a lot, then don't use it in the morning, don't use it in the evening. Don't need read the newspaper in the evening, don't read them in the morning, and like don't get all this information into your system, and really just try to build a more reflective relationship around that. And sometimes it makes even sense, to put yourself an alarm to putting your phone away, right? Like, and yeah, sometimes we really need to be so annoyed from ourselves that we say, like, okay, now it's enough. And I may be even deleting the app or whatever. But like, instead of, running away from things and deleting things and then going back to it, I would really encourage you to try to build a healthy relationship with it instead of, cutting it completely out. The next way how you can purify your life and change the vibration in your body and change how you feel is, of course, how we all know, through music. Music carries vibrations, right? And in Kundalini Yoga, it's so much more important how a mantra vibrates than what the exact translation of a mantra is. And we know that some words, they are carrying a seed, right? They are carrying a seed, like a sound current in themselves. For example, even the word thank you, right? There are so many case studies that when you say, for example, thank you to water, or thank you to a plant, or if you say like, I hate you, that their structure is changing, right? Like, so we can measure these things today. And so you need to understand that music is vibrating on different frequencies. For example, in casinos, there are some songs not allowed to be played because they are vibrating too much on a high frequency. And the people shouldn't be on such a high frequency in the casino, right? They should just stay there as long as they have to, and forget everything around, should be like absolutely disconnected and leave all their money there and get addicted. So really look into what music do you listen to. And I mean, I was listening earlier in my life to so much rap and German rap and, English songs where I think I never really understood the lyrics. And now if I, whatever, randomly today listen to a song where now, I understand what they're speaking about, I'm just like, oh my God, like, what did I have like listened to? And it really affects so much our subconscious mind, and it can really trigger different behavior, right? So of course you listen to specific music if you want to feel good, or you listen to specific music if you want to go to the club. But there are really music songs, we all know them, right? You hear them and then your ego gets really strong, and like you are really getting like a little bit gangster. So of course music is influencing us. Of course, like for some people, if they listen to Kundalini Yoga mantras, they either connect to them immediately, right? It was for me that on my journey when I listened to Kundalini Yoga mantras, like just my heart opened and like my soul remembered. And then there are some people, they listen the first time, for example, to the long time Sat Nam chant in Kundalini Yoga, and they just think like, oh, wow, that's like a little bit weird. And yeah, like Kundalini Yoga is a little bit weird. So, what do you have for relationship input from your family and your friends? We also spoke already about that, that it's really important to really check like, how are your friends influencing you? How is your family influencing you? And what kind of conversations are you engaging in when you are together? And if you feel that, for example, your friends who are who are used to gossip a lot, then maybe ask yourself if you can change the direction. And you can also always be open to say, like, at first, you're always open to not say something to anything, right? We are all entitled to just listen. And we are also all entitled to share our opinion or to say, like, that we would love to change the topic or that we would love to speak about something else. And we can also, of course, always say that we are not agreeing with what has been said. So, in the context of Saucha in of clearing your life, like I will later go to the practices, but like really be aware that like your environment is really shaping you and you become who you surround yourself with. And if you, for example, feel that your environment is like, giving you a feeling of not being so connected to you, of like not having a calm nervous system, of not being heard, then it might be worth it to make a decision with who you want to spend maybe less time and more time with. And the last point in the relationship input is the relationship you have to nature. And nature can, like at first, I'm inviting you to really explore what does nature mean for you. And we are actually all surrounded by nature, right? For example, nature for me is the sunrise. Nature for me is the sunset. The nature for me is observing the moon, like having a new moon practice, having a full moon practice. Nature for me is just being with my feet on the ground, being in the sand, being on a grass area, being on the earth, like going to the mountains, swimming in the ocean or in a lake, like walking through the forest, connecting with animals and connecting to myself, connecting through my spiritual practice. Nature means for me having less input from the outside and actually from humans. I feel like nature has a different frequency. I feel like nature is so less with judgment, right? The sun shines on every one of us, no matter in which, political area someone is, right? Like the sun doesn't have an opinion, the sun just shines. And this is, I think, what every human of us experiences with nature and subconsciously knows that nature is not judging you. Nature is there for you. The air is rich. The air is actually abundant. If you really think like that, I mean, this can maybe trigger some people, but like mm, property should normally be an illusion because our earth is abundant and our earth has enough, right? But then there are, of course, the things that we human created, but it's also about like how abundant are we feeling with ourselves? How abundant are we feeling within? And by connecting with nature, we can really declutter our mind. Yes, the next point we will speak about, but by really being connected with nature, you can really recharge yourself and be really cleansed, right? Swimming in an ocean has so much benefits on your body, on your nervous system, right? Like walking through a park where there are a lot of trees, walking through a forest, like there is also a scientific reason, like what really happens with the body, with the electromagnetic field of your body and the electromagnetic field of the plants around you and the biochemical process in between, that really we're having an engagement with each other. And yeah, nature is really healing and purifying you. Number 4, the mental decluttering from all the noise that is in our head. We need to know that our mind will always speak to us, right? But we can really, through practice and discipline, understand that we are not our thoughts. And we are also able at one point to change the patterns of our thinking. That really, and I don't want to lie to you, it is hard. It needs a dedicated practice, but it works. It doesn't mean that your mind is not talking to you at one point and can maybe even after years of practice drive you crazy, but the patterns are able to be changed. So in yoga, we speak about samskaras, right? Like, and for those of you who ever had like a psychedelic experience, you know how a trip is starting, right? Like a trip starts, it just starts, and everything that is present goes into your trip, right? Into your journey. And this is actually an experience of life. When your life starts, it just starts, and every information that comes to you is building this samskara, is building this thought pattern in yourself. And we all experience a different life. And this is why we all have a different way of thinking, right? So we literally think different. There are also, this is why some people, for example, have, yeah, like a really maybe also harmful behavior to themselves or to others because they are um, a victim of their mind. Okay. And this is also why some people just don't understand each other because our minds are just working different. But with awareness and with stepping out of those samskaras, right, we are able to change the way we think. And to change the way we think is, of course, the first step to change the way we think is by practicing all the steps I just shared with you. So if you feel that, for example, right now, meditation is not working for you, silence isn't working for you, journaling isn't working for you, then I invite you, stop with this physical 3D exercises and start with clearing and really decluttering your home, detaching yourself from things. First step. Second, decluttering your electronic devices. Third step, really looking in your relationships. What do you eat? What do you consume? What do you listen to? What kind of music? What kind of podcasts? What for conversations are you engaged in? How do you spend your social time? And are you maybe able to spend more time in nature to purify your body? And then you can really declutter the mind. And if you want to go then deeper, here we are really stepping into the yogic practice. So the first yogic practice, also in the 8 limbs of the yogic tradition, like one step here is to work with the body. We really were speaking now about how to clear your environment, but to really clear your mind, you start by clearing the body. Of course, we spoke already about what kind of food do you eat, but the next step is how can you clear the body? You are clearing your body through movement. Movement, 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 sweating, like no matter what it is, you can do any exercise that is good for you. Of course, if you want to do if you want to do practices that are also energetic, then yoga is the way, right? There is a difference between sport, but it's also good workouts. Pilates, right? Like it's also good, but it's a different practice than yoga. But anyway, you want to clear through your body and through your movement your physical vessel. A next step could be, for example, also clearing your body to bring your body to sweat, right? Not only through movement, but also through sauna, through ice bath. Every practice that is impacting your nervous system is a purification for your body. The next step is using your breath, pranayama, using your breath. And some people, they think that they just clear their body or did a physical exercise when they really sweat, when the workout was really hard. However, Kundalini Yoga is teaching us, for example, something very different, that even in practices where you are sitting for a longer time, where you hold certain like sacred geometries with and angles with your arms, and where you use your breath, that you purify your body even more. And that this is, of course, a more advanced practice. So you also clear your body and not also like one of the strongest methods to clear your body and to clear the body energetically is through breath work. Then there are, of course, also other techniques how you can clear your body, right? We already spoke about fasting, about juice fasting, but there are also other yogic techniques, right? You can, for example, do every morning or once a week a nasal flush, right? Like if you never did a nasal flush in your life, I highly recommend you to do a nasal flush. And there are also different practices of doing a more easy nasal flush or of doing a more advanced nasal flush. Then there are also other yogic techniques how you can really activate your digestion, right? Like there are specific pumping techniques in yoga that we do. There are specific kriyas that are really helping you to really clear the body. And this is always the first step when we come to the yogic path. We really want to at first connect with the body, with the physical vessel. Then the next step is to use the breath, right? Then the next step is to really work more on your focus, on the concentration. And we can do that by visualization, by meditation. It can even be through writing, through practices like we call it in yoga trataka. That means like focusing on one point, like for example, a sacred geometry or like looking to a candle, right? So you really need to understand that these are also all ways to clear the body because, of course, the highest goal is then to find the silence in the mind, like to come to dhyana, to concentration, to come then to samadhi, to enlightenment. And sometimes when we speak about all of that, right, it feels like, oh my gosh, like I will never be enlightened. Like it feels so far away, but it's actually just right here, right? So don't put too much into and think some people are enlightened, some people are not, and that it is a hard way to pass there, because if you think that, then you just block yourself to it. It is about not blocking yourself from yourself. The path to enlightenment is about seeing yourself clearly. And this is why in Saucha we want to purify yourself so that you are able to see yourself and to look into your soul. And by that, you experience oneness. And experiencing oneness is experiencing enlightening. Because if you purify and if you go through all the steps, then you are less distracted, then you are not longer on the outside, and then you will also see and experience the interconnectedness of everything, and you will experience your multidimensional being, and you will understand, the more quieter your mind gets, that we are here as the creator who is on his own soul journey, right? And knowing that everything around us is a reflection of where we are in life, right? And that we are projecting what is going on within to the outer world. So, the goal of Saucha, as I said, is really to clear everything that is not able to let you see who you truly are. And the last step, the practices. So, like, where are to start? I shared now already some practices, right? Like, how can we, how can we master to get out of our mind? Because I think like this is the most challenge, the biggest challenge, right, for all of us. And I can just summarize it that, of course, like the practices that are helping you are all the practices that I shared with you, right? Like of clearing the home, the devices, looking at the relationships, the consumption, the food, and then having a practice. Then having a practice. And of course, you know what I will recommend you doing yoga, doing Kundalini yoga, because Kundalini yoga has everything together. It has the somatic work, it has the asanas, it has the movement, it has sacred geometry in it, like it's own technology itself. It has sometimes body shaking, it has sometimes dancing. And yes, it has this beautiful, sacred, uplifting mantras. It has powerful meditations. It has the power of using the breath. And so this is definitely the practice I would recommend you. A part of that, as I also said, like the practice of journaling, the practice of meditation, and yes, just like expressing. You are also clearing yourself by expressing. Yeah, talking can sometimes also be like a kind of purification. And on the other side, finding in silence, what we call in yoga the muna practice, finding in silence and really, yes, or like doing a vipassana meditation, like really coming into stillness. And by that, your thoughts become also quieter and quieter and quieter. And where to start is, as I said, like depending on where you are on your journey, start with the home. Go from the outside to the inside. If you never, like, of course, if you never practiced yoga, then you start by going to a physical class, because at first it's beautiful to always work with our body, right? And that's what I love about the Kundalini yoga practice. Like the body is always such a big part in it. And at the same time, the practice is so energetic, right? So go through the points as I shared them today. And if you, for example, say, okay, I already, you know, looked at my home and decluttered everything here, then of course you maybe do the devices. If you already did the devices, then like you have a look over your relationships, right? So you can write everything down and just then really, don't also push yourself too much and say like, I need to have that finished in 1 week. Just see it as a journey. We have our whole life to, go through these things. And a good thing I can just share with you is that like we will not be finished like ever, like anyway, right? I mean, I'm very proud that I finished this decluttering. So we can really get some things done, but we will not get everything done ever. So my last advice to you to have a really clear life is just from today, start to collect less. Not collecting things, collecting experiences that are in your heart and yes, and in your soul. And my invite for you today, like if you would love to have an experience that will bring you more back to yourself, then I'm inviting you to join the Women's Retreat that will happen in Copenhagen. Now, like the retreat comes really with every time a little bit closer. And what we will do there is like a daily Kundalini Yoga sadhana with the sunrise, so with nature. We will go into beautiful root exploration, right? Like that you are able to find out, where do you come from, right? Like where will you go to? We really need to understand, like if you don't understand our roots, it's very hard to let our tree and our own flower grow, right? So we will go into root exploration, and we will go into group systemic family constellations. And a part of that, there will be time to really come together, like in community, to be together with women, to go into beautiful rituals, to go into a beautiful cacao ceremony, to sing together, to dance together, and to be there in this, yes, magical place of Kopanjan. Those of you who follow my journey already like a while, they know that Kopanjan is like the place for me, like the island itself. If you will not join the retreat, like I just recommend you go one day to Kopanjan. And the retreat will happen this year, 2026, in September. And if you would love to apply for a spot and secure your room, you will find all the information here in the show notes. And I would love to see you there. So if you feel the calling in your heart, then really, yes, I'm inviting you to join us and to apply and secure your spot. And for the rest of you, I'm so looking forward to dive next time into our other very powerful niyama. And I would also love to hear how the decluttering and purification process goes in your life. So you're always most and welcome to share your experience with me. Ask me any questions if you have some. And a part of that, all the blessings, all the best, and see you next time here in Kio World.